Thank you for being part of my book club. Today I'm reading chapter 3, Habits, from the book The Compound Effect by Darren Hardy. A wise teacher was taking a stroll through the forest with a young pupil and stopped before a tiny tree. Pull up that sapling, the teacher instructed his pupil, pointing to a sprout just coming up from the earth. The youngster pulled it up easily with his fingers. Now pull up that one, said the teacher, indicating a more established sapling that had grown to about knee height to the boy. With little effort, the lad yanked the tree, came out, roots and all. And now this one, said the teacher, nodding towards a more well-developed evergreen that was as tall as the young pupil. With great effort, throwing all his weight strength into the task, using sticks and stones he found to pry up the stubborn roots, the boy finally got the tree loose. Now the wise one said, I'd like you to pull up this one. The young boy followed the teacher's gaze, which fell upon a mighty oak so tall the boy could scarcely see the top. Knowing the great struggle he'd just had pulling up the much smaller tree, he simply told his teacher, I'm sorry, but I can't. My son, you have just demonstrated the power that habits will have over your life, the teacher exclaimed. The older they are, the bigger they get, the deeper the root grow, and the harder they are to uproot. Some get so big with roots so deep you might hesitate to even try. Creatures of habit. Aristotle said, we are what we repeatedly do. Merriam-Webster defines habit this way: an acquired mode of behavior that has become nearly or completely involuntary. There's a story about a man riding a horse, galloping quickly. It appears that he is going somewhere very important. A man standing along the roadside shouts, where are you going? The rider replies, I don't know, ask the horse. This is a story of most people's life. They are riding the horse of their habits with no idea where they are headed. It's time to take control of the reins and move your life in the direction of where you really want to go. If you've been living on autopilot and allowing your habits to run you, I want you to understand why. And I want you to let yourself off the hook. After all, you are in good company. The psychological studies reveal that 95% of everything we feel, think, do, or achieve is a result of a learned habit. We are born with instincts, of course, but no habit at all. We develop them over time. Beginning in childhood, we learned a series of conditioned responses that led us to react automatically, as in without thinking, to most situations. In your day-to-day living, automatically has its definite positives. If you had to consciously think about every step of each ordinary task, making breakfast, driving the kids to school, getting to work, and so on, your life would grind to a halt. You probably brush your teeth twice a day on autopilot. There's no big psychological debate. You just do it. You strap on your seatbelt the minute your butt hits the seat. No second thoughts. Our habits and routines allow us to use minimal conscious energy for everyday tasks. They help keep us sane and enable us to handle most situations reasonably well. And because we don't have to think about the mundane, we can focus our mental energy on more creative and enriching thoughts. Habits can be helpful as long as they are good habits, that is. If you eat healthfully, you've been You've likely built healthy habits around food you buy and what you order at restaurants. If you're fit, it's probably because you work out regularly. If you're successful in a sales job, it's probably because your mental habits, your habits of mental preparation and positive self talk enable you to stay optimistic in the face of rejection. I've met and worked with many great CEOs and superstars, and I can tell you they all have one common trait. They all have good habits. That's not to say that they don't have bad habits, they do, but not many. A daily routine built on good habits is the difference that separates the most successful amongst us from everyone else. And doesn't that make sense? From what we've already discussed, you know, successful people aren't necessarily more intelligent or more talented than anyone else, but their habits take them in the direction of becoming more informed, more knowledgeable, more competent, better skilled, and better prepared. My dad used Larry Bird as an example to teach me about habits when I was a kid. Larry Legend is known as one of the greatest professional basketball players, but he wasn't known for being the most athletically talented player. Nobody would have described Larry as graceful on the basketball court. Yet, despite his limited natural athletic ability, he led the Boston Celtics to three world championships and remains one of the best players of all times. How did he do it? It was Larry's habits, his relentless dedication to practice and to improve his game. Bird was one of the most consistent free throw shooters in the history of the NBA. Growing up, his habit was to practice 500 free throws every morning before school. With that kind of discipline, Larry made the most of his God given talents and kicked the butt of some of the most gifted players on the court. Like Larry Bird, you can condition your automatic and unconscious responses to be those of a developed champion. This chapter is about choosing to make up for what you lack in innate ability with discipline, hard work, and good habits. It's about becoming a creature of champion habits. With enough practice and repetition, any behavior, good or bad, becomes automatic over time. That means that even though we develop most of our habits unconsciously by modeling our parents, responding to environmental or cultural associations, or creating coping mechanisms, we can consciously decide to change them. It stands to reason that since you learned every habit you have, you can also unlearn the ones that aren't serving you. Ready? Here goes. We'll continue reading next time. Thank you.